Hi, today I am going to be interviewing one of my longtime clients. She took my program Inner World Transformation and was part of my intensive coaching program in 2019. So well over 5 years ago in the fall, 5.5, 4.5, math. And I'm going to invite her on right now. I'm going to add her. Yay! I was going to. I'm exploring the tech. But I'm going to bring her on. We're going to interview her. If you have questions, comments, add them to the chat. I will weave them into the conversation. There she is. But I wanted you to meet somebody who has plenty of time afterwards. And she has just transformed every area of her life. It's been really fun watching her do that and just supporting her brain and really following my process of inner world transformation. And so, having said that, I want to let Melinda introduce herself. So, yes, tell us about you a little bit.
Okay. I am Melinda, and I'm at the beach in Florida. It's glorious. I am a wife and mother and friend and sister and daughter and client, mental health client. um,
Yeah,
that's all I've got right now.
you're also a poet.
There we go. Yes,
Tell
I
me
am
if
a
that's
poet.
it. Yeah, you're a poet. Okay, wonderful. And so I'm just going to ask you some questions throughout this time. And then if people have questions, I'll be looking at those and I'll weave those into the conversation as well. My first question for you is, what made you seek help?
Okay. So actually, it was your post. You posted, we were like Facebook friends, and you asked the question, have you ever heard of tapping or EMDR? And if so, or if not, this is kind of what it is. Would you ever be willing to look at it as an option for healing? And I had a very dear friend who had experienced something traumatic and sought help using tapping as a method, and that totally fixed what was going on with her for that particular thing. And so when I saw your post, I'm like, heck yeah. So I sent you a message, or I wrote something, and then you and I chatted. We talked about the program that you offered, and I felt like you understood who I was, where I was coming from, the issues that I was having. You told me that you could help me, support me. I believed it. And I was like, yeah, I'll be healed in 8 weeks. This is going to be awesome.
What issues were you, what were you going through at the time? What symptoms did you have? What did your anxiety, depression, or traumatic stress look like for you?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm thinking back about back then. So I'd been diagnosed bipolar disorder. I definitely battled with depression, the ups and downs, the lows and the highs, some of the manic episodes, if you will, presented itself not in necessarily like happiness, but rage, frustration, easily upset, um, uh, in the dark parts and places. I had suicidal ideation, um, constant worry and fear. Um, so at that point, I may have been pregnant or had already had my second child. I And so then there was also postpartum. um, yeah, so that was a lot of it. So just like ups and downs. I felt that I had managed it well because I told people where I was at. It also showed up in spending habits, shopping for the dopamine hits. And there was a lot of attempts um, to heal, but like through purchasing things. And what I mean by that is like a program, or I had chronic back issues, so I bought a back brace, but then I didn't use it. Bought whatever system, got excited, unboxed it, but then didn't use it. So self-sabotage was a very big part of life.
Yeah. Um, I can hear that when you're looking back at it, you can feel it sounds like there's an emotional connection and just stuff coming up for you. What's it like to look back 5 years at that version of yourself? And
Hmm. There's a lot of gratitude that I'm not stuck there and I'm not having those cyclical experiences. Um, it's also, I don't know if this is pain, but like feeling empathy, sympathy, love for that version of me. But just gratitude to be a on a different level. You know, haven't arrived. I'm not fully healed like I thought I would be in 8 weeks, but there's so much exponential healing and transformation that has happened, and I'm very proud of where I'm at. And also, there's a lot of love for that person who sought the help and stuck it through. That I bought the program and then I showed up. I didn't do the work in between, but I showed up for the calls. And I was very encouraged to hear that as long as you're doing it right here, then that's good. And it's still working and it's building. And um, so I used to have, I think, a very love-hate relationship with myself. I loved myself. And then I hated myself. And the hate is gone. Now I just continue to fall deeply in love with myself. And um, even the parts that I would have been ashamed of before.
what happened? How did that happen?
How
What
did
do you
that happen?
remember?
Okay, so on the shame piece, since I mentioned that, so a lot of it was just the tools that you provided and um, the safety that I felt in the sessions themselves and then implementing it. And so for shame, I remember doing like an exercise where one, I wrote out all these different things. What was going on? What were events that had happened, experiences that I had, and there were probably about three subjects that all kind of hit on the shame piece. And I remember sending it to a vault, like a very large black vault, like one of those, has the eye metrics and the handprint, and there's all these whatever. It's locked, fully locked. And some of the pieces I wasn't looking at specifically, like I didn't go into the details to feel all the hurt, but I just sent it with intention into the vault. And then I covered the vault in slime and glitter and fluorescent colors. And so if something else popped up that was shame, which would make me loathe myself and just be in a dark place, I just sent it there. And yeah, it was very freeing. And so that was like one of the methods that I learned that has been useful, dissolving things into like a concoction that my mind created, just fun brain pieces that I just loved to explore, and that sent me through a healing of those things.
Yeah. With you, we had to do a lot of tricks, a lot of brain tricks, because your brain was willing to play with it was willing to play with the pain, but it wasn't willing to go feel or look through. Like it wasn't. So we had to set it up where it could play with it and heal at the same time.
Yeah.
Can you talk about there's a difference between the play that we did with the vault and the interventions is different than suppressing or getting away from or locking things away. How did you know they were healing and not just being suppressed?
So one of the interventions that I don't love is the collarbone breathing. And it's good, but I hate it. And really I hate it because I was coming from a place of seeking perfection and I felt like I couldn't do it right. But I remember a particular event, a memory, something to do with my mom in my childhood and my perception of her. And you walking me through it while I did the collarbone breathing. Um, yeah. Um, and I very quickly would have an emotional reaction, and you would start me from the beginning. And so, kind of like repeating those things until doing that same exercise and talking through it, walking through it, it no longer held the magnitude of angst. And it also helped me to really get in touch with who and why and how my mother was in those moments and how much she and I were similar. It helped me to see myself as a mother, but her as a mother with love and not abandonment. Um, yeah, so like I got her, and even though she's deceased, it was a healing thing for my relationship with her. And I think too brought some healing for me in my relationship with my oldest son. Um, so yeah, that was big. So hope I answered your question.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, how did talk a little bit about the changes that you've made with your son, and maybe even like you didn't even mean to make them, because a lot of we didn't work so much on your relationship with your son, but so much transformation has happened there.
Right. Also an emotional thing. So um, as I was doing the work, I was seeing myself and seeing how much I needed healing, but it helped me to see him as well as a person who needed healing from the choices I was making as a parent, which I think were born from how I was raised, what was expected. I felt a lot of triggers with my son's behavior, um, because I would not have been allowed to speak to my parent the way that he was speaking to me, these kinds of things. But like, again, as I was healing and recognizing, oh, that like the different freeze, fight, flight, right? The symptoms of when your nervous system is dysregulated. I had a lot of aha moments for me being dysregulated and responding to my son through that dysregulation, but also seeing him on the receiving end of that and recognizing, oh, wow, it wasn't disobedience. He was frozen. He could not
Yes.
obey the commands that I was giving him. And uh, initially, I felt a lot of guilt, shame, for that. But I knew that I did the best that I could with what I had, the tips, the tools, the experiences. And it shifted how I began to parent. Um, and I've since him had two more children with my husband, and my parenting looks a lot different. I'm a lot calmer, and I don't have the same like big, large reactions. Sometimes I have to sing to myself, don't take it personal. But like I'm not taking it personal. It's not an affront to me. It's not an attack on me. It's my children, even though they might be doing it in a way that I don't like or prefer, they are communicating that there is a need. And I'm readying myself to be there to give that need or meet it.
And how did working in your own inner world show you this? Because it was there all the time, right? I mean,
Right.
that's one of the things. Their needs were there all the time, but you didn't see them or you didn't recognize them. How
Yep.
there, yeah,
So,
that were,
yeah. So one phrase that comes up, everybody knows and has heard: hurt people hurt people. And I believe you coined for me the term healed people heal people. And so as I began to heal, I was offering that healing to my children. At the age that they are, they have, that whole mirror neuroning thing. And as I began to implement certain actions, then my children um, followed suit, and offered those same types of interventions or care to their sibling. So that's one of the
Yes.
ways.
And I'm hearing you also say that a little bit back ago, that the more you understood yourself, your own origin story, your own moments with your mom, the more you started to see your children and the needs that they had and the freeze that they were experiencing.
Mhm.
So I'm letting that percolate for me here over here.
Okay.
Um, I want to ask another question around there, but it's just not coming to me. So I'm gonna ask a couple different questions here.
Sure.
Um, what was this is what I want to say. It sounds like that, and this is one of my intentions for this process. It's like we were just removing the blocks to your own self-love, to your own understanding. We're
Right.
removing the blocks to you seeing you and your own needs. Is that accurate, or would you say it differently?
Yeah. So I feel like for me, there was a hurting inner child, and I did not know to communicate with her, soothe her. Instead, I tried to fix other people or heal other people or give other people the things that I, was missing. I am a very empathic person. Feeling other people's energies, whether it's anger, hurt, frustration. I remember walking somewhere in DC and seeing a stranger, and I could feel her pain. And I'd walk past her, and I stopped. I turned around and I went and I hugged her, like I embraced her. And I think this was around the time that I started with your work. And so the change for me through uh, through the program was to be able to not put myself on a back burner, not put myself last, because I was actually taught that in church. As a matter of fact, the acronym JOY, it's Jesus, others, and yourself last. And I held to that. And I don't subscribe to that teaching anymore. And I began to love myself. And still, there's still more work to be done. Like I might be listening to something that is, I know, going to be beneficial for me, and I'll think of someone and I'll stop listening and send it to them and then get distracted. And so pulling myself in to allow myself to love me, that I'm worthy of love and worthy of my own recognition of myself, in the time spent um, to find sparks of joy for me, that I don't have to, like, I have a lot of love to give, but it's also okay to give it to myself. And it's been a really beautiful place to be in. I just love it. I love it.
And it sounds like it's really changing the quality of the love that you're giving others.
Yeah. There's, this thing, treat others the way you want to be treated. Um, or you can't, nobody else can love you if you don't love yourself. And I've never really liked that because I didn't love myself, but I was hell-bent on loving other people. But I get it more now, because the way that I love myself and treat myself, I allow other people to do the same, if that makes sense. Um, where was I going with this? Loving myself has given me permission to love other people where they are, instead of fixing them, or changing them. Like allowing, like if they're grieving, grieve. If they're making decisions that don't align with what I would do or what I think they should do, let them do that, because that's their journey. I'm going to mind my own business. But in that, loving them and not taking away their blessing, not taking away their lesson. Like if I do the act for them, um, then they don't experience that healing that they need for themselves and the transformations for them. So I don't want to steal any of that. And to me, that's been me loving both myself, but loving others in a better way.
Yeah. And what you're talking about, sharing with us your inner your new infrastructure, your boundaries, that they're showing up in new ways. You're seeing boundaries that you didn't see before. You're
Yeah.
implementing. You're actually able to hold and maintain new boundaries here.
Yes. So I have done like group therapy before. It was a really great program. I don't know the name of it, but um, it was like just a group of women. We went through a book, and I was getting wrecked by each of their individual stories because I took it inside so deeply, and I mourned for them in the moment, and I was so caught up in it. And the therapist that was leading the group encouraged me that it was not the right time for me to be part of that group because of the boundary that I was missing. It was like there's a screen door, that's the boundary. Um, and stuff's maybe supposed to bounce off of this. Like it's okay to hold space for them in that moment, but it's not okay to feel all of their pain and, um, you know, to suffer from their
Yeah.
tragedy. And so I basically had holes, if you will, in that screen or in that boundary. And now I definitely feel like I have um,
Yes.
a firm system up in place.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's very freeing. It's very freeing.
I bet it's more functional. I bet
It,
you're less distracted.
yeah, it is. And, it's really helped other relationships too. I had what do you call this word? A bump, like a big bump with someone who's important in my circle, right? And it led to us not talking for quite a while. And we're no longer estranged. And it's really quite beautiful, but it's like holding firm to what I was saying, right? Setting my own boundary, respecting that person's boundary, because it was really a mutual decision to not interact. Um, and yeah, it was beautiful and it was freeing. And a big part of it for me in that relationship, what existed was this desire to be liked, to say the right thing. I was always micromanaging. How do I say this? How do I look? Um, how do I be not too much? And okay, there was just, I was tearing myself apart, and the space that the conflict created, but the boundaries that we put up allowed for there to be um, healing and owning who we were individually. And when we wound up back together, we were both on a healing journey, like a parallel thing. And so it was really quite beautiful to see the way that she'd grown and changed, and the way I had, and the similar things that we were um, looking at. Um, and I feel like we have a much healthier relationship because of that. And then I also have somebody else that I love, that I I have been told by this person, people don't do what they say that they're going to do, right? And so I was determined I was not going to be that person. And so I said I was going to call, I called. They didn't call back, I called again. I said I was going to text, I text. And the person stopped talking to me. Um, I'm trying to, I'm, I'm thinking about this, and I'm also trying to be very careful of what I
Yeah.
say.
Yes.
Um, I eventually wrote the person and said, look, the ball's in your court. I'm just trying to be who I said I was going to be. But really, what that came from was, nobody's going to call me this other thing, you know? And with that separation also came um, some relief and some respect to, again, respecting that person's journey, seeing that they are in the place that they are, and like, and it's okay. I can love them from a distance. I don't have to, give them all the tools that I'm learning right this moment, and um,
You're talking about compulsion right now,
yeah.
and you're also talking about that nuanced mental health. Like you're kind of, it's like we have a little trampoline in our inner world that's nice and healthy, and it's
Mm-hmm.
when it has holes, you fall through and you start the spiral, and you start all that stuff. But you're talking about how your brain is just built this nice thing where even if things aren't happening well for you, you're choosing, um, you're not falling through. You're actually finding strategies. You're connecting with yourself. You're learning, oh, this is a place where, I'm motivated by something that's not really self. It's like it's an external motivation out there. I
Right.
don't want them to stay, you know.
Right.
And a lot of that, and that's really beautiful. It's really powerful. Let's come back to the early days here.
Okay.
Um, you talked about being in a group before, and you were in one of my small group coaching programs, the intensive one. And
Mm-hmm.
what was different there, and what was that like?
What was different? What?
Yeah, between how I run coaching small groups and the small group that you were part of
Sure.
before.
Um, well, I think the big thing started. Sorry about that blur. Started with like the tapping, and yeah, my son was born because I remember I was nursing, but I was also pumping, and the tapping. You started off slow, and everything just built on week by week. So very beginning, my only tapping point that I knew about was the karate chop point on my hand, and I was away with my husband, like on a marriage retreat, and we knocked over some milk. So I'm like tapping, I'm hitting every surface, like, because this, what do they call it, liquid gold, and it's something that I would have like spiraled from, but I didn't, because I had that. Um, but so one of the things that I discovered about myself, or that I witnessed in the group session, is in the beginning being very aware of other people, like what they're experiencing. And in the beginning, I would just I would have the answer, the answer for them. Oh, they should do this. And so I didn't share those things. Well, I might have shared some of those things, but I
Which was
remember,
your challenge. Your challenge
yeah,
to the group.
it was. So that's one of the things that I noticed in the beginning, is like I wanted to be the therapist, but I realized, okay, that's not my role. I need, my own help. um, but I know too, there was a time in a group session where someone was free and able to express that they were not excited about my joy, you know? They were having a problem with it. And because of each like foundational step just building on each other, I did not wither away. I didn't try to hide myself. I didn't try to hide my joy. I became an unapologetic person. And if I step on someone's toe, I bump somebody, I cut off somebody, I'm going to apologize. But what I'm not going to do is apologize for who I am and the sunshine I bring, and whatever my mood is, whether it's joy or rage. Um, and so it was a really unique experience to be able to, one, respect that that's where she was, and that's okay. I think we all can battle with jealousy, envy, whatever. If you're down in the dumps, it's hard to see somebody else all sunshiny. Um, but so not only did I hold space for her where she was at, I didn't take it personal, but I still maintained my joy, where it would have flipped me into the other part, and I would have spiraled downwards about how I'm so horrible and I should have read the room and I should have done something different.
Yeah.
So
Yes. good. And interesting, very, very interesting. And you know, in the group, there is how because I really work to keep people on their own work, right? And everybody's work does come out here, and,
Yeah.
and you get back in your work. Um,
Right.
how did you? How did was it after that person? Now I'm asking you. I'm curious.
Wait, say that
How
again.
was it? Because I know a lot of you that went through groups kind of have a connection, and a lot of this
Right.
stuff really wasn't personal at the time.
Right.
You know.
That person disappeared a bit, and they are in a certain stage of life of what's going on, in their world, outer and inner. Um, but again, that would have been something, oh my gosh, is it my fault? Did I do something wrong? And I'm like, no, this is none of my business.
Yes.
But what I do want to say that I appreciated about the group experience is even though we each have a different, we have different parents, we have different childhoods, um, there was so much that I learned and grew from when other people shared their experience. So like, let's say there's 5 of us and they haven't gotten to me yet. So person A has spoken, they know what they're going to do, they go off. Then person B speaks, they, are told what they're going to do. But listening to person A and person B, um, there was a connection from me to them. And it also helped, even the exercises that you sent them to do helped me to reframe my own experiences and be like, okay, this is the tool for that, And so I felt there was it. It's just this beautiful tapestry. We're all woven together. Yeah, it was great.
Awesome. And my brain, you got me. I'm like, oh, I need to stay focused. Okay. Okay. Do you remember in there, you were one of my, let me ask you this. What was your greatest challenge going through the program?
Doing the work outside of the program.
I was going to say, you were one of my clients. It's very rare to have somebody not do any homework between sessions. But you were one of them. You get one of them. And talk about how you're really good at this work now, and tell a little bit about how you built that up. Tell us.
Okay, so I was a person who needed a lot of hand holding, and also, even just to get things done around my own house, if somebody is just there, there's a word for it. I don't know what that is, but it's like, I need that. So, yeah. Um, I, I was just fractured my brain. It just wasn't, and then I think also the perfectionism, oh, I can't do it perfectly, or I don't have enough time, or two, the other thing was all the chores, like all the dirty dishes and the laundry
Yeah.
and and then at that point too, I was homeschooling and, so 2 small kids, 24/7. It was a lot. It was a lot. And, but with the hand holding, so now I can sing along with Miley Cyrus. I can hold my own hand, Um, and yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I remember really working. We were really working to build, and so we really tried some passive interventions, and
yeah.
um, and really started getting you more and more time regulating your nervous system.
Ooh, so this one thing, so the tapping, right? I loved it, shared with everybody. Everybody that I shared it with that did it loved it. But one of the things that helped me was getting the tapper device with the audio and with the buzzies. Um, that was a very empowering thing because then I could do the work without having, because I thought that I had to like sit down right in this moment, and just do. And so the tapping device helped me also to do the
That's right.
work. Yeah.
And we really need to follow your brain specific patterns. And your brain's patterns
Yes.
were very whirly. They were very like, oh, let's go do this, let's go do this, let's go.
Right.
And so you needed interventions that would help right in all those places, especially with those, we started calling them off ramps, where you
Yes.
get off and off the path. You know,
Yes.
you're like, well, there's a lot of off ramps here. And so,
Yeah.
but we want you to go through those off ramps with processing. And so we finally found that fit
Yes.
with the Buzzy.
One of the things was you providing the permission, if you will, or give me the whatever, to off ramp,
Right?
like if you're going to go do the thing well. And so I was off ramping very well. And then I was like, oh, again, with implementing the tools, I don't want to do that anymore. So to this day, I catch myself, I'm like, nope, I'm not going to go there because I'm going to stay focused, and it feels good. A lot more gets done without the off ramping, and I am more productive because of it. But it was being able to love myself as in that moment a person who off ramps, loving that version of
Yes.
me that gave me permission to not off ramp. Like it didn't have to be the strategy that I used. Um, you know, yeah.
Yes. And when Melinda's talking about something I say all the time to clients is off ramp well, worry well, be angry well. This means do it with an intervention, right? And so
Yeah.
if we're doing the thing and we're processing, our brain is like, it finishes the process. And then it's like, okay, I'm done with that, next, or it's like, hey, I want a better way of doing this. The brain naturally will figure it. Well, it doesn't want to be malfunctioning, but
Right.
it's not processing the information that even lets it know that it's malfunctioning here, or that it's
Yeah.
creating more stress for itself or more problems. And so we just want it to get that data. And so I thought that was fun to watch you do.
Yeah. So I remember an exercise, a tapping exercise, where my house, there was a lot of overwhelm with the state of my house. Just piles of things, like a micro hoarder. Dishes piled and shoes piled and papers and clothes. And the assignment was to go to each space in my house and just look at the space and tap. And yeah, it was very helpful. Again,
Yes.
yeah, it was a tool to love myself as well and not have to go fix it, but just what's going on here in this space, Oh,
Yes.
okay, I see this pile. That's interesting. Okay.
Yes. I
Um,
remember
and then eventually,
the
yeah,
session because I knew you wouldn't do it outside of it. I was like, this is your homework. So we,
yeah,
have a camera looking at your spots,
yeah.
tapping.
I remember another one where I had this box of clothes, these pants, and we were talking about getting rid of things, and then I had these hot pink pants. Oh, my favorite. And I was getting really emotional because I was like, there was this decision that I had to get rid of these things. If I hadn't seen it in a while or whatever, but I'm like, but I really love these pants. You're like, oh, well, if you love it and keep it. And I was like, oh, that was that was great, but again, another tapping exercise that just stirred up a lot of stuff. And I know one of the things to me that was eye-opening in that experience is, okay, so like shopping, right? We discovered during this tapping exercise, like as I probably did like a mind map. Yeah, it's like I'm writing all the things down. So like when I shop, what is it that I'm feeling? What is it that I'm thinking? And one of the things that came up was, it's mine and nobody can take it away from me. That was huge. That was huge. But it also spoke to, I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to get that high from that particular thing. But it was good to get down to the root of like what was going on in the emotion and where did that come from.
Yes. And, there's a lot of paper exercise. Like I have people, use paper and map and
Mhm.
check and look and get it on the paper so that we can track. again and we can look at it again. But really, we wanted to customize a lot of that to be in motion for you because you weren't going to go sit down, you know? So it's like, how do you feel based on your brain function, how you work, what your needs are. And you really need to create a lot of function in your outer world that gave us a lot of opportunity to do the healing work in your inner world. So that was, I think, over time, really cool. You really did this, you really customized this to you, and you just kept going. And so that was really, really wonderful. And you also did some Joe Dispenza work afterwards. I remember, like maybe this
Yes.
last year, you started doing that. How did doing work help with that?
Yeah. So 2023, I went to my first week-long Joe Dispenza, and then I did 2 more events that year. And I think really it was about me loving myself. So, you know, it's a high price point to do your program. It just is. But part of that is seeing I have that value. I am worth that cost. And then that cost also brought me to show up on the calls. At least I didn't do the homework, but I showed up on the calls to do the work. And so it gave me permission to also get that ticket and to be immersed in that experience for self-development and growth and self-love. Um, you know, I had a lot of church hurt as well. And so our work helped me to address those things and, you know, seek and find healing. And that also expanded my view of God. And it allowed me to maintain that God is bigger than, you know, a particular church or a particular verse. And there's just so much love. And so I felt that in starting the Joe Dispenza stuff, you know, it really was in alignment with the things that I learned with you as well. And yeah, basically I had the permission to do that without the fear of condemnation from church or people at church. And that was really, it was beautiful.
I love that you were going to go play in your inner world. I was like, she's getting in there even more.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you come and you were in the graduate meeting. You come in and we'd play together with these or what you were working on, and we'd apply some interventions in there to amplify some of the work that you were doing there. Can you talk a little bit about what it's like to be part of the graduate meetings, which now are called the Transformation Tribe?
Yeah, well, one, I think you can never get enough help. So it was an important piece. And I remember even in addition to the graduate meeting, known by another name, I also did some other stuff with you and
Yes.
the other girl who I adore. I miss her. um, Tell her hi. Hi. I'm not going to say your name, but hi. Okay. So it's just more support, you know, I feel like it's a necessary component. And it has, even though it's a month apart, you know, like I did like the 2 times per week, but it gives each person the space to do the work in between the calls. But it's like just another, like I said, line of support. And I think that it's necessary. I think that it also fuels the growth. And I haven't, this whole past year, 2024, I have not gone to a Joe Dispenza event. And I hate that. And I'm not doing the work, you know, but so being part of the meeting helps me to keep that pulse on and to continue the work for me, for myself, and how that helps other people too. It's helped my marriage, my parenting, my children, my relationship with my father, and, you know, friends and relatives.
Well, you
So
talk about how this has changed your marriage and your relationship?
Yeah. uh, I'll start with my dad,
Okay.
who I love. um, my dad was my hero growing up, and he also was my inner voice. And I was in my 40s when I started doing the work with you, and I realized that his voice should not be my inner voice. And the program helped me to stop that, right? I struggled with not feeling worthy, not feeling good enough. Um, the story that I told myself was, we're like two ships passing in the night because, my love language is words of affirmation and his is acts of service, and those can't be more opposite. Um, and the news story became, I am who I am in a good way because of the experience that I had with him as a father who did not speak my love language. It's like I'm not a victim of that. There were several like playing with my brain and opportunities to get the healing without him having to say the words, like I resigned myself. I'm not ever going to get the validation that I was craving from him. And oddly enough, or miraculously, or whatever, it's come. And so I used to, he would call me. He would call me, and he lives 15 minutes from me. And so he would call and say, I'm coming over. I'm like, okay, great. And then I would hustle and bustle to clean my house. And I wasn't tidying up. I was hiding up. I was hiding things in the closets and stuff. And I was so paranoid about his judgment. And eventually I got to a place where like, I ain't doing that no more. And he's going to take it or leave it or whatever. He's going to comment. And that's okay too, because I love myself. But on my birthday at my last family reunion, he kept asking my cousin next to me, what time was it? What time was it? Because he wanted to give me just like the most beautiful message of love and acceptance and how he sees me as a mother. And, it moved me and my husband, who was like watching, across the table. Yeah, it was beautiful. But that came from me loving myself. And yeah, so
You used to make the comments and they would hurt. And
yes.
I'm still it's him and makes comments.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, that's where he's at. But the other part is I have become a person who will defend myself I've always defended my children, and he would tell me that would be one of the comments. Oh, you're always defending them. That's my job, buddy, Um and I I don't want to throw him under the bus with a particular thing, but I will say there was a time that I said, no, I will not be shaming my children. That's not how I operate. I'm not, no, there is no shame in this scenario. There's none. And so it was a big moment for me. I think it was a big moment for myself, because the other thing that would happen is I would feel bad about his comments, like about myself as a mom. Um, oh, he's always up underneath you. And then, so when I was there, I used to push away that child who was seeking comfort from me or love or whatever. And so I stopped doing that, which was great. And realizing that, yeah, it is my job. I am supposed to give this support. And at some point, this child is going to become a teenager and not want any of this. I'm going to get all my hugs now, I can. And so those things, they don't rattle me and they no longer define me.
Awesome. So good. Our time is wrapping up, but I do want to hear very about your.
Say that again. My marriage.
Yes. How has?
Okay. Well, I have a really good man. An amazing, phenomenal husband. Um, And, you know, when you live with someone and it's day to day, you don't recognize certain things, like how they change and all the gray hairs, like doesn't, it's not a stark. And so there was a point in time with the group that we were involved in that a couple of them had said, wow, whatever Melinda's doing, tell her to keep doing it, because she's changed. And it was those statements that he heard that allowed him to see that I really had been growing. Um, and
Mm.
he also decided to do some work himself uh, with you. And I, so, you know, I think in the beginning I was like, oh, you need to go tap. I tell him things like that. I don't do that anymore. I think there's just a lot more mutual respect and honoring the other person, holding space for him in his moment of whatever. Um, I mean, we've done some interventions together that has been helpful. Um, he became more of a partner, instead of an enemy, because our biggest thing was my son, since he was not my oldest biological father, and so he was a stepdad. Those were a lot of our conflicts were, and I probably felt like I had to defend, and and I don't. I'm not in that space. Like I can honor him and respect what he's bringing different into that dynamic, and without me thinking, well, he just needs to learn from me. Like I know all the stuff. Why is he making all these mistakes? But giving him permission to make those mistakes and owning up to my stuff. Um, I'm trying to think of something maybe more profound. But we keep just coming back to each other and choosing each other. Yeah.
I bet that's huge for your children. I bet they feel that.
Yeah. Yeah. They do. They know mommy and daddy love each other and love them, and it's a safe home. And they notice when things are off too, and they'll comment, but they feel safe enough to do that as well. So that's huge. And that reminds us, oh, we need to be better at, making sure that we have that connection one-on-one. But yeah, it's brought us together.
Wonderful. So good. Good. Thank you so much for sharing all of this.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yes. And I really love that, just how, I want to say loyal, but it's really like over a long period of time you've been to your inner world, and just your inner world, your inner self, that inner child, reflective. I really admire the work that you've done.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
And I
I'm
love
proud of you
that
too.
like that. I mean, that's what I'm in it for in so many ways. I want you to be well. I want you to be happy. But
Yeah.
when the babies get to feel that love and
Yeah.
that confidence and joy from mom,
Yeah.
that's
Yep. That's good.
so congratulations. All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Gosh, it's so phenomenal to see how much transformation has happened in her life, and just how she was able to show up for herself and heal, even with all those obstacles she talked about. And so I really hope that from watching that, you are really feeling like you can do this work. I'm hoping that you are realizing that this work does not have to be done perfectly to be phenomenal and beautiful and life transforming. And it doesn't even have to happen fast to be beautiful and to be exactly, for you to become exactly who you want to be and be able to show up for yourself and love yourself and give the best version of yourself to your kids, your friends, your family, your goals, your vision. And so I just hope you were inspired by that. I always am. This is the best job ever, just to watch people get in their inner world and heal. And so I love that. So also, if you want to see if this process would help you, or if my process that I've developed called Inner World Transformation is the next step for you, there's a couple of things I want to show you what that looks like. You can go to my website, rachelmcleod.com, and you are going to run into everything there. You're going to run into all the healing opportunities. I have an educational center in there. So I have blogs, I have videos, where I'm teaching all kinds of stuff in the inner world and showing you healing opportunities and new ways of relating with your brain. But on my site, the first healing opportunity you're going to find is my free program. And that is really where I teach people interventions. And these interventions are really how we work with the brain to shift out of fight or flight, out of survival mode and into processing mode. And these are my favorite interventions for this work. There are tons of interventions that work well. And these are my favorite because they work with the most people. They're fastest to use and you can use them a lot. For instance, crying is a great intervention, but I don't want you to cry your way through your healing work. If you got to, you have to, but there's easier ways. And these interventions are really powerful, fast, effective, and they have no known side effects. So once you start working with those interventions, you get to see, do they help your brain shift? If they do, those are your interventions. If they don't, if one of them doesn't, throw it to the side, try the next one. Usually in that you'll find something that works. And once you have something that works, you can really start the process of shifting yourself out of survival mode and hold it more and more in a processing state, which is phenomenal. It's the foundation of all healing. It's the healing dance. It's supporting your brain in this very specific way. We're targeting a different part of the brain than we do in traditional talk therapy. So these interventions are weird. They're tapping, breathing, they're body interventions because we got to use the body to send information up to the survival system so it will hear. It doesn't like top-down communication. It will be influenced easily by stuff moving through the body. So we talk to that part of the brain using these interventions, and you'll watch. It will really respond by opening the processing gates, and it'll allow healing through the mind-body natural system and process. So it's phenomenal. We're working with the brain. If you find an intervention, one of these interventions, and you're really liking this work, you're going to love my program, Inner World Transformation. And that's where I just teach you step-by-step more advanced skills. And you're going to combine your healing process, your healing dance with different exercises because you're going to guide your brain to do specific healing work that you want done and that you know you need to get done. Also, in this program, Inner World Transformation, I'm also supporting you how to hear what your brain wants done. So you're going to partner with your brain to help your brain get what it wants. And so you're going to do that. And you're also going to do some guiding and say, hey, brain, I want this done. And throughout the program, you're going back and forth. You're building a beautiful relationship with your brain. You're rebuilding teamwork, which then fosters self-love, confidence, all kinds of wonderful things. That's just how it works. And so that's one of the byproducts of my program, Inner World Transformation, is that by the end, you're really a wonderful team. You and your brain are a wonderful team together. So that happens there. That is a self-study program, and you can take it and you can transform your inner world with it. I hear reports from people all the time going through that program that they're healing, they're changing, they're growing, they're seeing this in their inner world. They're saying they're holding their boundaries, they're living by boundaries. Their brain is making boundaries, and those boundaries are showing up in their inner world, just like Melinda was talking about today. I don't even know that she was conscious of the boundaries showing up, but I'm like, oh, boundaries, right? I wanted you all to see the boundaries showing up. And so that's natural. Brains will do that if they're processing. And so, and if we don't see any of those things, we can jump in with some exercises and help the brain. Hey, where are those boundaries? And the brain will those boundaries will start showing up. So I want you to be equipped to support your brain to build what needs to be built. So, but those are those options. I also have opportunities to work with me in a small group. or in one-on-ones. And so Melinda talked to you about her experience in the one-on-one, and these are work sessions. We are not talking a lot about struggles. We're actually strategizing for healing work. And so in those sessions, I do speak with one at a time, and people get to hear me coaching and strategizing with people, which gives them tons of ideas. And then you're working. Right. And so does serve a little bit as that body doubling, so that you're not doing your work alone, and you have guidance, and I can really show you how to work with your specific brain very specifically, very customizedly, and help you get results. And some people just do better in a group environment. Some people really feel like they need hand holding, just like Melinda said. And I have clients that are like, walk with me through this. This is a great opportunity for this. I love walking people through their inner world transformations. And so I'm honored to do that. You'll find out information about those opportunities as well at rachelmcleod.com /intensive coaching. Intensive-coaching. Easier just to get on my site and look under the healing opportunities. And so yeah, so there's some small groups coming up. I'm wanting to pair people together in healing. I'm going to be starting, there's a moms group coming up. I'm going to do a 50 plus group. It's really nice to hear your issues. It's nice to work together as well. It's because we all have brains and we all get to watch brain function, but it is also nice to work in groups that are very similar. So there's benefits in both. So, but I want to see if we can put some people with similar issues together to heal. See what happens. Anyway, so I'm doing that, and it's been beautiful every time, and so I'm feeling confident playing with with grouping people in smaller groups, in special interest groups. So you'll find those on my website as well. Oh yes, a lot of clients, a lot of people that are avoidant in nature, in attachment style, not in nature, but they're more avoidant in attachment style, and their way of relating with people really, really love the self-study option. And it allows you to do your healing work kind of away from everybody else. And, we're poo-pooed, those of us with a more avoidant style, and just want to be alone all the time. Yeah, we're our comfort zone. Hello. We're our safe place. And so it's nice to be able to really start this work independently on your own, where you want to, how you want to, and have full control of that. I'm not trying to make you have control, release control when your brain isn't ready for that. And so it's nice to bring in that stuff. And yes, because we're human, we really do well in connection. And so we want to build that as well. And that's a really great time to reach out for more support in your community with me, in the communities I'm building, the transformation tribe, those sorts of things. And so I think that will add, because we want to practice being in relationships so we can wire for that. And so, but you can do a lot of healing work just by yourself. And when it's time to grow the things, we got to get out there. And then we can come back into the safe place and out and in and out and in. You know how it goes. Safe basing, secure basing. Nothing wrong with that. And just like people that are more anxiously attached or anxious attachment style really do better, this isn't always the case, but it's most common to want a hand holding because that's the safe place with the nervous system. That's where that nervous system feels safe. And we want to do this work where we're safe, where we feel safe. The more safety we can create and experience, and that's more safety signaling our survival system is getting, and the more in a healing state our brain is going to be. So you really want to get what you need. And so that's really why I've made so many options available. And they can go back and forth. A lot of my anxious attachment style clients will go off in time periods of isolation and withdrawal, and they'll just be in their inner world working, and wonderful. And then they'll come out and they'll, so it's really following what you need, listening to yourself, and leaning in where you lean in. Okay, so more testimonials are coming soon. I have bunch of really cool clients that want to share their story. And so you're going to hear that. You're going to hear those coming up. So follow me, like this video, share, and I will see you around. Share your celebrations. Ooh, I have a Facebook group called Releasing the Baggage of Anxiety, Depression, and Traumatic Stress. And feel free to go in there and share your wins, share your questions, ask your questions. I will answer them. And let's do this. Let's be in community where we're healing and we're using the brain to heal itself like it's designed. Okay. Wonderful connecting with you. I'll see you around. Bye.